in our cities, in our backyards, at our front doors. As cities expand, it's not just humans who are becoming increasingly urbanized, nature is moving in. As humans continue to expand their built environment, we have begun to encroach on natural habitats. The wild and built environment are no longer worlds apart. Territories bleed into each other and intertwine. Animals of all shapes and sizes are calling cities home more and more each day. Just like shifting from rural to urban living has changed humans, city living is changing animals in surprising ways. Coincidentally, urban wildlife is changing the way some cities operate and use their resources. However, not all animals are affected in the same way.
A terrifying night for Burbank resident Nick Mendoza, who woke up to see this outside his window.
I looked at the cameras and that's why I saw the coyotes, about 7 or 8 of them going in front, going back and forth, running like horses.
He says when he went outside, the coyotes were everywhere.
With more resources and fewer predators, urban animals often have an easier life than their rural counterparts, and in several species, that's reflected in their mortality rates and health. Monkeys living in areas of India emerged largely unscathed from a severe drought in the early 2000s that cut rural populations by almost half. In India, development is leaving sparrows without any easy food source. In the past, the birds would pick at leftover bits of grain and vegetables as people cleaned and prepared food outside their home or at an open window. Now, more urban Indians have access to grocery stores and prepared and packaged foods, leaving urban sparrows having to fend for themselves once more. Development has also caused various issues with animals and humans. An estimated 21 to 22 leopards roam in Sanjay Gandhi National Park, an urban park in Mumbai that is approximately 40 square miles in size. Only 12 or 13 leopards are sustained by similarly sized areas in the wild, but encroachments by humans have shrunk the habitat area, and, through the introduction of dogs, goats, and other pets, expanded the prey base. Similar to humans who share spaces in order to live in a great neighborhood downtown, some urban animals trade personal space for the convenience of the city. In England, rural foxes have roughly a square mile of territory to themselves, yet city foxes share that same size space with up to 14 other animals. In Germany, urban rabbits also have less space overall. Studies have found that rabbit burrows in the country are large, spread out, and house many animals, much like multi-family country estates. City burrows are smaller, simpler, more evenly distributed, and home to fewer individuals, like an underground complex of studio apartments. Studies have found that animals also respond to human movement. Urban sparrows are drawn to old rundown homes with holes or nooks and crannies to build nests in. As neighborhoods change and old houses are renovated or torn down and replaced, their winged residents often have to fly off and find a section of the city that's more accommodating. Also in Germany, boars have adjusted their activities to human schedules. During hunting season, the animals are known to commute from rural forest areas to the suburbs of Berlin during the weekend to avoid hunters, and then head back to the country during the week when the forests are safer. Some city animals have shown to change their daily schedules to exploit urban resources or avoid conflict with humans. In Bangkok, Thailand, and New York City, sparrows have become night owls, staying out later to feed because the bright lights around buildings draw plenty of insects. City life has also made certain species' natural ability survive under such conditions. Red-tailed hawks' eyesight is up to 8 times as powerful as that of human beings and allows them to see colors along the ultraviolet spectrum that we cannot see, perfect for cities with large skyscrapers. Moving over to Chicago, urban animals have been known to follow the rules of the road. Collisions with cars may be the biggest killer of Chicago's estimated 2,000 coyotes, but many of them have learned a thing or two about navigating city streets safely. Scientists studying the animals as part of the Cook County Urban Coyote Research Project have found that they'll sit patiently on the sides of the roads and on street corners, waiting for traffic to stop at a red light before trying to cross. Coyotes have also learned to understand divided highways and will watch only in the direction of oncoming traffic without looking the other way. Coyotes in the Chicago metropolitan region have been spotted in the vicinity of such densely packed areas as Chicago O'Hare International Airport, the Loop, and Wrigley Field. All encounters with humans and animals are not necessarily bad or seen negatively. Cities can be a great place for birds to live, but for those that are just passing through, they can be a death trap. Chicago happens to lie in the path of the Mississippi Flyway, a major north-south route for North America's migratory birds, and the city's lights can distract and attract them, leading to collisions with buildings. In one night, there can be as many as 1,000 collisions at one building, according to Chicago Bird Collision Monitors. In response, Chicago and other cities on migratory routes have implemented lights-out programs where buildings keep their lights off at night. Other cities, like Toronto, require that new construction implement certain bird-safe design aspects, like exterior lights that don't point skyward and timers or motion sensors that switch interior lights off when the day is done. Humans have begun to also design with animals in mind, or maintain a symbiotic relationship with certain species. The underside of the Congress Avenue Bridge in Austin, Texas, houses the largest urban bat colony in the world, numbering approximately 1.5 million Mexican free-tailed bats. Nearly 2 times as many bats live under that one bridge than do people in the entire city. Austin's bat population eats between 10,000 and 20,000 pounds of insects every night. This benefits humans through agriculture. By consuming such pests, agriculture has greatly benefited, prompting the construction of new bridges designed for bats. However, these interactions with animals are not always so peaceful. Every year, Indianapolis sees an influx of starlings. Starlings crowd into city parks and congregate all over buildings, leaving park benches, windows, and sidewalks filled with goo. The birds' droppings are acidic enough to eat away at limestone and copper and carries diseases and parasites. In order to protect public property and public health, some buildings in the city are now outfitted with a number of tools to discourage the birds from congregating around them, to scare them away. Plastic nets and electrified wires were put in place to prevent the birds from landing on ledges. In cases where interaction with dangerous animals and humans is unavoidable, special units have been put into place all over the United States. In Miami, the County Fire Rescue Service deals with the city's populations of exotic snakes and other reptiles due to animal exportation. Moving into animal control made sense for them because they were already up and running 24 hours a day, and most citizens called 911 when they spotted a weird or scary animal. The service has its own internationally renowned venom response unit that's equipped with the largest store of antivenoms in the US. For some animals, urban areas are all-you-can-eat buffets. There's plenty around to eat, such as bugs, garbage, and prey animals. Even humans have been known to feed them. Sometimes this means that animals eat better in the city than they do in the wild. Gopher snakes in Paradise Valley, Arizona are consistently larger and in better shape than their country cousins because they have a steady supply of rats to eat. In several towns around Lake Tahoe, urban bears pack on extra weight thanks to an abundance of trash and leftover food from humans, and weigh almost a third more than rural bears. Animal interaction with humans is not always positive, though. Routine exposure to humans also lessens the animals' fear of us, and the occasional human handout teaches them to associate us with food. In Los Angeles, people started leaving plates of food out for the animals in Griffith Park, which led to some problems. Some coyotes had gotten used to free meals and would approach people in the park, nip them on the shin as a way of asking for some food, the same way they do with fellow coyotes, and then sit and wait for a handout. Eventually, 3 coyotes that had gotten too used to humans and free snacks had to be killed to prevent conflicts. Now let's head to San Diego for some local context. How does the urban collision with natural systems affect San Diego? For further information on urban animals and their effect in Southern California cities, we consulted with Uli Bergen, a senior tracker with the San Diego tracking team. There is a theory called mesopredator release, proposed by Mike Soul, ecology professor at UC Santa Cruz. Based on their experience and surveys, our largest animals are affected first: mule deer, cougars, as well as coyotes. When the large predators are gone, the middle-sized ones take over. Since all of these animals go after eggs and chicks of birds that breed on or close to the ground, these birds have less success raising their young when the large predators are absent, who normally would keep the medium-sized predators in check. Wildlife corridors, such as tunnels and road overpasses, are important. They help connect small habitat fragments with each other. And another goal, education. People need to know what lives out there in nature and also how to deal with possible disturbances caused by wild animals. As we continue expanding our cities and taking over natural ecosystems, we will begin to see larger and larger animals move into the cities, from wolves and mountain lions to cougars and grizzlies, and maybe even because it will eventually become the only option they have. As put by Dr. Malcolm,
if there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free, it expands to new territories, and it crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously, but, well, there it is. I'm simply saying that life finds a way.